Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bears for the 2020 NFL season. As you know, they signed a new quarterback, Nick Foles. Is there going to be controversy in between these two quarterbacks? Make sure you stay tuned for more. Enjoy sports content. So I think he has everything he needs around him this year. The Bay Buccaneers, Ali Marpet.
I'm doing well. Someone that knows the game pretty well.
Drafted third overall by the Boston Celtics.
Today, we are having a podcast about the Chicago Bears. If you haven't seen this is the Buster Boom series where we analyze each NFL team for the 2020 season. We talk about free agency, the draft, key players, and then we predict their overall record. So without further ado, let's get straight into it with the Bears with key players. And obviously, Nick Foles and Mr. Trubisky, the two starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL in that locker room together, and we don't know who's going to start, really. I mean, I think there's obviously speculations on who's going to start, but I love this matchup. I think Foles is obviously more, I guess you could say, experienced. You know, he's won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback. He played really well in the Eagles for those 2 years. Then on the Jaguars, he was looking like he was going to have a good season. Then obviously got injured and was traded to the Bears. So I think if Foles is healthy, fully healthy, I think I'm going to have the edge and have him start over Trubisky. But I could see why Trubisky might start just because he's been there for so long. And, you know, obviously he hasn't done awful. He hasn't been the worst quarterback in the world. He hasn't been good. But, you know, I think it's going to be a competition and a battle. And this is going to be something fun to watch for this season. So I would make sure to stay, tuned for this. But Dylan, what are your thoughts on this quarterback matchup?
Well, I think that Trubisky is going to start because he's kind of the better quarterback, to be honest, and he's been there for longer. Nick Foles is an interesting player because he went into the Philly playoffs and won them the Super Bowl. It's crazy. It just happened. No one expected it. But after that, he kind of tailed off. There was nothing he did that he was able to do before. I think he aged, to be honest. And I think Trubisky's a younger option. They spent a lot of draft capital on him, and I think that they should start him. But it'll be interesting to see because they're both solid quarterbacks, I guess. I don't even know if I can call them that, but they're NFL backup quarterbacks battling for the starting job. And it'll be interesting to see who gets it.
Yeah, for sure. Now to our next offensive player in this key players chart, we have obviously their very, very underrated receiver in Allen Robinson. I mean, he's so good. He's so underrated. It's not even funny. I would say the most underrated receiver in this league. I think he just does not get enough credit for what he does for the Chicago team. If they didn't have him at receiver, I mean, they would not be, scoring or winning as much as they have. He's just such a good, can catch the ball and get touchdowns for your team. And he's such a solid receiver, especially coming from Jacksonville. A lot of people didn't really recognize that move, but I think it was so good. I think he's such an underrated receiver. I love him. He's big. He can catch it over corners, and he's just a good receiver. He's just a solid receiver that is just so underrated, and he just proves it day in and day out, like in every single game, that he's not only a good fantasy receiver, gets solid points, but also a good, just overall receiver in the league. I think, he's just severely underrated, but I think, that kind of, I'm assuming, fuels him to be better. But let's go to our next player, where we have Khalil Mack, the defensive end. Dylan, you talk about Khalil Mack.
Well, there's really a lot and nothing much to be said. Linebacker in the NFL at the moment, other than maybe Von Miller. But I would actually say Khalil Mack is better. And the Bears stole him. They spent 2 first-round picks on him, and it's an easy win because he got them to the playoffs in his first year there with that great defense, and I think he could do it again. It'll be interesting to see. But, I mean, their offense has to be good for him to make an impact defensively as much as he did that one year.
Yeah, he's just a monster. Like, he's a scary guy. He's small, but, like, puts, linemen on their ass. I mean, he's really, really, really powerful player. I mean, he's just a huge guy, intimidating, speed rusher, power rusher, and like sacks the quarterback, and is just a hard hitter. And he's also like, a really, really after the play player. He'll run after running backs and tackle them. He'll run after receivers. Like he chases the play until it's dead. And that's the kind of player that 2 first-round picks will get you in a Khalil Mack. And I think this year he'll have another good year. I know he's aging a bit, so I mean I'm probably predicting 9 to 10 sacks. Around there, maybe a little bit less. But I think, regression's kind of out of the picture here. It's Khalil Mack, I would say, possibly one of the best pass rushers in the league right now. But now to Roquan Smith, their middle linebacker from Georgia, not recently drafted, but pretty recently.
Recently drafted.
Yeah, recently drafted. And really good player. I think they got a really, really, really good middle linebacker and a middle linebacker for the future for a long time. He's so good. He's so solid in coverage and in, stopping runs, and he can cover cover running back. So I love Roquan Smith. I think he's just like Khalil Mack, chases the play down and has so much stamina and energy. And I think he brings that young, energetic player to that Bears defense. And that's why this defense is a good defense that people don't really recognize. They have a lot of solid players on that defense, and Roquan Smith just, wraps up that defense, being that middle guy who just, does everything and is a workhorse. Anything else to add about Roquan Smith?
Nothing much about Roquan Smith. That linebacking core is scary with Smith and Khalil Mack. Yeah.
Now the draft, I would say, they trade, obviously, since they got Khalil Mack, their pick was with the Raiders this year. So, and I believe the pick that the Raiders got, they took Damon Arnett. But so they had their second-round pick where they still got a first-round player in Jalen Johnson, I believe, the cornerback from Utah, who I love. I think he's such a physical, in-your-face type corner. I think he's going to be really good with Kyle Fuller there. I think it just improves that defense and improves that secondary, especially after, Kyle Clinton-Dix leaving in free agency to the Cowboys. Obviously, Jalen Johnson's not a safety, but he's a good secondary player and a good cornerback and a good cornerback number 2. And I think it just improves that secondary for the Bears and just makes that defense even more scary. But Dylan, anything else to say about their other pick that we're going to talk about, the tight end Cole Kmet from Notre Dame?
Cole Kmet, top tight end on the board. He'll be battling with Jimmy Grant for the tight end spot. He's good. It's hard to evaluate him. I didn't watch him in college.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be good.
Yeah.
The draft experts have said it'll be good, but we'll wait and see. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
About Jalen Johnson, I think he was a top round prospect. I think he should have gone in the first round over Damon Arnett and over maybe AJ Terrell. But I mean, he fell to them, and they were lucky to get him. And there wasn't much in the draft. I think the big thing for them in this offseason is who they develop well in preseason, because they have a lot of young players on their team who need just that little bit of development in the little things of their game, and then they could be a very scary team.
Yeah. Now let's talk about record. So, for the Bears, I think this is going to be a bit of an underwhelming season. I just think that offense, I think the contention between that quarterback spot is going to cause some problems, especially if the receivers are getting thrown to by 2 different quarterbacks. So I'm gonna give them 7 and 9 here. I think they're gonna miss the playoffs by a little bit. I think the Packers and Vikings are just significantly better than them right now. So I have that 7 and 9. And I feel like every single team we talk about in this series, we don't have anything good to not good to say about, but we're always saying they're not going to be good. So don't worry, we'll have other teams that we think will be good. And I don't think the Bears are going to be terrible. I think they're going to be a mid of the pack team. But I think this year, 7 and 9 is a fair, maybe 8 and 8. But I think just missing the playoffs is a fair prediction for them. Dylan, what are your thoughts? What's your record prediction?
Well, I think they have a lot of potential. It could be very up and down. I put in my standings predictions, I put that they would be 8 and 8, but it's really hard to know with the team this up and down. Trubisky could be a stud. He could be terrible. they're
Yeah.
not going to be as good as the Saints will. They definitely won't be as bad as the Redskins will be. I think they'll be, honestly. It's a very hard team to predict, and I like watching teams like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so you have them at 8-8. So I think I think those are some fair predictions. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe. We do a lot more content like this. I know a lot of our videos have been these Buster Boom series, so we're gonna try and get like some variations of content soon. We have a lot of other podcasts coming up, and of course, if you want to see anything, drop a comment because we'll make sure to try and get to that kind of video. But yeah, if you guys liked it, make sure to subscribe, and we will make sure to see you guys soon. Peace out.